Hey ladies, it's Saturday night and you know what that means.
You want to get away.
Single Moms Lifestyle presents the Saturday Night Getaway.
Hello. Hey everybody. Hello everyone. Welcome. We did that tonight. We was only 1 minute late. Y'all know we be on CP time, but hey, welcome to the show. If it's your first time, you're now tuned into Single Moms to Wives Saturday Night Getaway. Of course, I'm your host, Queen G, sitting here with my beautiful co-host. I have Simply Lorraine.
Hey everyone.
Right next to me. And Corey Poe's in the building.
What's happening?
You're actually not in the building, but you somewhere. And we are so excited to have this guest. Listen, she fought to the very end not to come on air, but we got our way. I'm spoiled like that. So please welcome my boo, my big cousin, my rock, my everything, Jasmine Adams to the show.
Hey, family.
And this lady belongs to Mr. William, a.k.a. Lou Fit Adams, who's been on the show previously. Thank you, cousin, so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to give everybody a happy birthday. We are in a new month, July. Stand up.
Yes.
Yeah. We got, I know I have one. I got to give Tootie a happy birthday shout out. She's 40, y'all. And I'm lying. She's going to kill me. But happy birthday, Tootie. Glen Eva Marks, happy birthday. Who else I know in July? We know we have.
My son's birthday is tomorrow. So he will be the big 24.
Elijah, happy birthday. 4th of July, baby.
Yes.
Well, he was in red, white, and blue all his life, wasn't he?
You know what? We're not doing that. Not tonight.
Jazz, do you have any July birthdays?
Yeah, actually, we got Faye, we got Bunny.
Bunny.
Yep, her mom Faye birthday.
Yes, Bunny and Faye, happy birthday. Yeah. Okay, July, we here for y'all. Corey Poe, any July birthdays?
My Uncle Shooter's birthday is tomorrow. He passed away a few years ago. Well, a lot of years ago. And then Jakeenan, Manisha's son, he'll be 22 July 20. Don't get me in the line, but it's in July.
Okay. But happy birthday, Keenan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we definitely wish all you guys a happy birthday in the month of July. And listen, if you guys would like for us to give you a shout out, birthday shout out, anniversary, please email us. Even if you want to be a guest on the show or have a suggestion for a topic, you can email us at singlemomslifestyleradio@gmail.com, and we are here for it. What's been going on in y'all week? Everybody good? How's it been?
All is well.
All is well.
I hear that.
In the land of milk and honey. Today was a day for Royal Air. Let me just say, we had somebody that, bless his heart, he's special. He's what I call uniquely designed. He came in the store, tried the store, and it was a whole situation. But God is good. Nobody got hurt, and it was handled, but it kind of shook us a little bit. But we back. It's all good. Other than that, the week has been the same. Busy. And this little baby, Satar, still here. Busy. He with his CTs this weekend. But he here. So we've had a blessed week. I want to definitely introduce this show, but I am going to immediately hand it over to Jasmine. She introduced it to all of us. To Jihad, who introduced it to me, and then Jasmine, have we talked about it before?
I've mentioned it maybe.
Yeah. But I definitely had an opportunity to research this, and it's mind blowing. So tonight's topic is trauma bonds. Trauma bonds. We've been in the same vein of healing for the last 3 shows. This makes the 3rd show, so we thought we would stay right here and just be able to feed people, knowledge, and just kind of bring more awareness to some of the relationships and the things we go through individually and why we go through them. So Jazzy, I can say Jazzy, or do you want Jasmine?
You can say Jazzy.
I can say Jazzy Courage. I can say Jazzy Faye. Okay. So Jazz, let us know, man, what made you even come upon trauma bonds? Look for that, because I know you're always learning.
So the way I actually came up on trauma bonds is I was, basically looking for self-healing in some areas of my life. And I didn't even come up with trauma bonds. What I realized is that I've bonded with people over trauma. So if you notice, you are attracted to people who have so many similarities in their life that you have, and you basically bond over trauma. So even with a friendship that I had, I noticed that we had so many similarities, and it was, traumatic experiences that happened to them,
Right.
traumatic experiences that we shared amongst each other. And I'm like, man, we just really bonded over trauma. It's not a fruitful friendship relationship. So
Right.
then I started looking up bonding over trauma, and that's how I found trauma bonds. And trauma bonding is a psychological response to abuse. That's all it is, and it makes the receiver of the abuse closer to the abuser, and it could be any form of abuse. At the end of the day,
Right.
it's just abuse.
Right.
So
Right.
that's how I've been going through this self-healing situation. So that's how all that came to be.
Okay. And so I actually and just in my research, I found it man, mind-blowing. I was looking at one of the charts and just seeing how the trauma bonding, which was broken down, simplified, and it was just talking about how children, for one, experience abuse plus rejection plus love growing up, and now the child associates love with abuse. And I was like, wow. You know what I mean? And then it just goes even further to, like you were saying, with the adults, it's like a cycle. And it's like, it's almost connected to narcissism, where it's really hard to be able to get out of that. But it's almost something where, it's not curable for the abuser as much as it is for the person, the victim, we'll call them, the person that is not really knowledgeable until they realize, like, yeah, that's what this is, like you just said. And so in the relationship aspect of it, I saw something that I could relate to. And it said, like, fix, save, and validate my existence. And sometimes people will say, oh, well, that's just based on your partner's love language. Have you heard that? It's their love language. Sometimes their love language may be they need you to validate them. And so, lack of knowledge, that's what I took it as. Maybe, my son just needs me to validate him. Maybe my whoever, my parents just need to be validated. But it's actually a form of a trauma bond. Corey Poe, I know you read on it and studied it to the point where I had it pulled up on YouTube, and I'm like, I don't like this one. And he was like, no, turn it back. I'm watching that. And he literally was in it. So what did you get out of that?
She was just basically breaking down, giving a simple synopsis of what a trauma bond is. And as you mentioned, it was something that we learned in our youth. And we learned those things to be associated with what love is. One of the things that I found profound about it is that children don't have a gray area. You understand what I'm saying? We call it benefit of the doubt. Children don't know how to do that. So they take things extremely, they take it for what it is. Say if you spank a baby, the baby not necessarily knowing is discipline, it's abuse to an extent, if that's the way they perceive it. You understand what I'm saying? So they don't have that cognitive skill to understand what's going on at the moment. So without the explanation or sitting down and talking to our children while we do these things, they come up with an understanding as of that is abuse, which causes deeper mental trauma. And so that's what we equate with the trauma bonds. We come up with those things. And just listening to her, it's very easy for it to happen to people. And then we're not realizing what it is. So that was a beginning course for me. And I've been doing some other research, just digging, because it hit home for me. As I mentioned before, my mom, she worked a lot. She was a single mom, had 2 boys. My brother's 6 years older than I am, so he was pretty much self-sufficient. My mama would work nights, and then, she'd sleep during the day. And I could just recall being alone most of the time, whether my brother was gone doing whatever. And so even now to this point in this day, Gwen calls me weird, but I still rather be alone. You understand what I'm saying? It's just something that I have grown keen to. So being around people is difficult for me, because even back then, when I look back, that wasn't my norm. You understand what I'm saying? So it was a lot of things that happened then that I see that I've carried on to adulthood. So I could see just when we're speaking of trauma bonds, how this could resonate as true.
Yeah. Simple Ray, how are you, or what were you able to connect with in regards to trauma bonds when you looked into that?
I mean, it really just made me take the time to just go back and look at things throughout my own personal history in life, and maybe the group of people I may have hung out with, or why it was so easy for me to connect with people. Yeah. And then maybe me understanding and realizing, like, okay, this really ain't that good for me later. Yeah. It might have took, sometimes it didn't take long, and then sometimes it may have actually took years. Right. You actually understand, like, this is for me.
Yeah, I actually feel the same. My mama has this thing that she doesn't like to take on human projects. And just really doing the research on that helped me to answer a lot of those questions. First, let me say that I was able to, I've been getting way more out of the information for me than for anyone else. Sometimes you can read things, especially when it pertains to, relationships or psychologically, and instantly you want to, most people typically is like, oh yeah, that's what they do, or that's, yeah, they do that. But this was a real moment for me to self-check and just really ask myself, which, Jazz, you and I, you on me all the time about, not making myself available to people, so much that they play on the fact that they know I'm falling for, quote unquote, this is my words, for lack of better words, the woe is me story. Whatever, if you got a woe is me story, I'm here for it usually. You know what I mean? That's how you get me. I don't care if it's whatever it is, because I'm a giver and then I'm a nurturer by heart. So that's the way that you get me. But I had to self-check and ask myself, why do I fall into the trap where I allow it to happen over and over again, even after family members, people have literally shown me very up close and personal who they are and how they feel about me. I see it, but it seems like I'm caught in this web where I can't get out. You know what I mean? And it's so hard to say no. It's hard to get out. You know that you're not being treated fairly. You know that you're being undervalued. You know that there's a form of abuse there, but you continue on. Jazz, where do you think that stems from, just in a general sense?
So a lot of it stems from family, your upbringing. So just think about how big our family is. I'm gonna just take our family as an example. Everybody is very opinionated, but when before grandma passed, the matriarch of the family, before she passed, there was always an order in how everything was done. So if it was that person who you weren't comfortable with, that's family. You don't mistreat family. Or go say hi to such and such and be respectful. You are traumatizing that inner child. You are traumatizing that child who don't want to have anything to do with it. Or if you don't agree with something that an adult say in the family, you being disrespectful to an elder when the elders are basically disrespecting you and you don't have a voice. So as you grow and you get older, you like in your mind, I'm not letting nobody else take this voice away from me. So
Right.
you build up these defenses, you build up this wall. So now you at the point where you coming into young adulthood and you carrying over all that baggage, all the trauma, all that fear that you had coming up as a child, because that's the only thing that was instilled. It was never a breakdown of why you can't do these things, or it was never an explanation. It was like, this is what, do as I say and not as I do. It was always that type of connotation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in a child's mind, you have them afraid to say anything or to voice their opinion, so you are projecting and imputing these type of behaviors in this child. So as they become an adult, they are so scared to say certain things. They are so scared to have unbalanced or have an issue with somebody by saying no. They are so
Yes.
scared of not being able to hold their own, or this person is not going to like me. I got over that in my early 20s, because when I realized I don't like how you act, I don't like what you're doing. I don't care. You could be my mama, grandmama, sister, cousin, anybody in the family know me. If I
Yeah.
feel a
Yeah.
certain way, I don't have to deal with you. I cut that off early. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the thing. If you think about it, with trauma bonds, it's almost like Stockholm syndrome. You are bonded
Yeah.
to your abuser. Whether we look at it as, oh, this is just my mom, or this is just my cousin or my auntie.
Yeah.
It's things about certain family members or friendships or acquaintances that you really don't like, but because we try so hard to hold on to them relationships and keep people from being upset or not feeling some kind of way about us, that we are willing to accept anything. I'm not that
Yeah.
person. So when I came to the realization that if it's something that you do to me, I don't have to disrespect you. I don't have to say anything foul to you, but I'm going to cut you off and I'm going to keep my peace. Whatever I need to
Hey,
do to keep
say
my
that.
sanity intact. I don't, so
Yes.
when I realized that I had Stockholm syndrome, and in my mid 40s, to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm bonding over trauma. I have trauma bonds. It was a different world for me. Like I used to tell you all the time, hey, it's okay not to fool with people. It's okay to keep
Yeah.
your peace. Like I gotta protect my peace at all costs. So if I if
Yes.
if I have to do that by separating from everybody, I'm okay with it. I don't mind who don't like me, or I don't care about who get mad if I don't do something for them, or who say, if I say, you cannot you cannot make me change my mind when it comes to certain things, because I know your intentions are not good. So me and you are not going to continue to bond over trauma. We're not going to have this Stockholm syndrome going on, because the thing is, you have to think you imputing that in your children, because what your children see you doing, they're going to repeat the cycle, especially girls. They are prone
Man.
to repeating the cycles that their mothers have gone through. So at what point do you break the cycle? We're not even going to talk about a generational curse, because we got to remove emotion from it. So if we're just dealing
Yeah.
with straight logic and facts, if you decide to stay in that, I'm gonna say, in that mental state of mind, then your children, your daughter, your offspring, they're gonna follow in the exact same footsteps. So then you have your daughters coming up doing the same exact things that you're doing. This ain't even about a generational curse. This is about breaking a
Yeah.
bond. So what they see
Yes.
you do, you're gonna impute that in your children. So at what point do you change the scenario when you decide not to have Stockholm syndrome, when you are okay with telling people no and feeling okay and not having your mind all over the place? So that's why I say you got to protect your peace at all costs when you're dealing with breaking trauma bonds and Stockholm syndrome.
I
Mhm.
absolutely love what you said, and you touched on so many key points. I want to go back to when you were speaking about just how growing up in a family and that teaches you do as I say and not as I do, and that
Mm-hmm.
takes your voice away, because having an opinion in any way that you deliver it, is even if it's respectful, is considered disrespectful. Being in an environment where you see family members that fall out like people in the street, and then as a young kid, the next family gathering, reunion, wedding, whatever the thing is, mama, daddy, whoever is dragging you back around these people, but we were never shown the apologies. We were never shown that this is not okay. So it became a norm to just, first of all, have the kind of disagreements where you cross boundaries, and no one ever shows the children the apology. So now, of course, if I was there and you said something to my mama, I don't want to be around you. But my mama never explained to me why. Why are we going back around this person? I don't want to be around them. As a young person, you don't have a choice. You don't have a voice. You have to. And so you're being taught a behavior that becomes your norm. And as an adult, your children see it, and your children see you sweep it under the rug into the next family event. And then, hey, all is well, i.e. never any resolve. Like you said, people constantly building a rack. And so that touched home for me, especially because we've got to start and pay attention to what we're teaching and what we've shown our kids, whether directly or indirectly. I see, I just had a conversation with, one of our young lives, and that was their main thing. Like, they see the spirit of it all. They even see the spirit of it all on them. But then the heartbreak is, I see it, I recognize it, I don't want it on me, but I don't know how to stop it. You know what I mean? And that's where it's hurtful, because we're all in this cycle, and where we have realized it, it's really hard to change something that you have been taught all your life to be normal. And it is anything but normal. And the one thing you said, Jazz, is it is okay. And I have made that my mantra for the day: protecting my peace at all costs. I have my places where I have to go, and then I have my place of peace, and that's my home. And if that's what I have to do every day to maintain my place of peace, or not go to this situation or environment or event where I know it's going to knock me off my square, I am intentional about that. But what do we do when it comes to the youth? And Corey Paul, this question is to you, because it really affected you as well in a different manner. How do you begin to change that mindset? You want to go ahead?
Well, for me, I had to realize that it kind of, like, the word they like to use nowadays is empath, but then I got to reading up on some different things, and even with, trauma bonds, it's almost installing in a kid or into somebody who's a lot younger that everybody else's feelings are more important than theirs. So you begin to just kind of, you know what I'm saying? So you're always willing to help, even if you see it draining you.
Yeah.
You don't know how to stop, you know what I'm saying, giving something of yourself that you don't really even have in you to give.
Right.
Until you begin to understand. For me, it was beginning to understand, like Jazzy said, like my place of peace. Like a lot of times it would be like, I was really big on, if I was having a barbecue or anything like that, my family was cool. The few people I invited was cool. But if they brought somebody with them that I didn't invite, I was rude. I was very rude. And I would apologize to the person, as in, you know what, this ain't towards you. I'm sorry that they put me in the position to be, lack of a better, a B today. But they knew before they brought you that I didn't want you here. So bringing you anyway without letting me know they were bringing somebody I didn't know into my personal space, my home, my peace. This is where me and my child dwell. So now, I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable, but see, they put you in this situation. I knew it wasn't okay, but they felt like if they brought you, I wasn't going to say nothing. So I apologize, but you knew anyway. Don't just bring people in and out of my house. It's not okay.
And I get what you're saying. I've been very intentional about that too, about what kind of spirits you allow in your space and in your place of peace. And people will do that. I've gotten to the point where I literally will meet you at the door. We sit on the porch. You can't come in my house. And even after you've been on my porch, I start praying. And it's just because, again, I'm still a work in progress and trying to break down all of these again bad behaviors, learned behaviors that were taught at a very young age, and 41 years of being of operating in the wrong spirit about how these things, these relationships and these bonds work. That's a lot of work, you know what I mean? And there's good days and bad days, so I can't say I'm always on my P's and Q's, but I know that I'm intentional. And the biggest thing for me is not wanting to be around anybody that recognize it as well, and they don't care to change it, and they don't care nothing about your opinion, and you saying, listen, I don't want to rock with this no more. I see what this is. I can't be her no more. Corey Poe.
So a couple things. First, I want to start from where you ended. That's a telltale sign of an unhealthy relationship in and of itself. When people are not willing to allow you to do what you have to do for healing, even if they're part of the problem, that just shows that you're on the right track. When you're telling them, hey, when you do XYZ, it does ABC to me. So if we can't fix XYZ, my ABC is not going to be okay, but I need my ABC. And if they are offended with you, you understand what I'm saying? Then you absolutely right to get your ABC, and they can take their XYZ and get the hell on. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
And then another thing is how we talk about children. You know, we tell them things, but not explaining it to them. So it feels like we shut them down. Our son, Brandon's a lion. He's a warrior by nature. I realized that at an early age. And so I always told Brandon, you can always speak your mind to me. You can be respectful. Even if it don't come out, we can figure it out, because I never wanted to extinguish that flame that he has in him, because I felt like for whatever reason, what happened to me is that mine was trying to be doused. You understand what I'm saying? And I understood that held me back in a lot of things in life, because I allowed other people's feelings to be more important than my own. And so it put out a fire in me that I'm still trying to reignite. But I never wanted to do that to our son. So I always tell him, you can talk to me. You know, we'll figure it out as we go. Even if we have to clean it up as you address it, we can do that. But you can talk to me. So that's one thing, just giving people space. You know what I'm saying? And having an understanding, because things aren't always going to come out politically correct, so to speak. Right. But if we can deal with the issue at hand and speak to the issue, I think that we'll be better people for it. Not only ourselves, but the people who's coming to us with an issue. So we got to give people space and time to be honest about what they're feeling and what they go through, and sort it out along the way. I think that we get so caught up in what's supposed to be right that we forget we just got to get it right. That's two. And then number three,
say it, Coco.
This thing gets so deep, and I don't want to unwrap it right now. So I'll let the show continue to progress before I delve into it. But one of the things about myself, I realized after I had gotten myself into a lot of trouble for being a hothead, that it wasn't that I was a hothead by nature. I was sensitive by nature. And because being overly sensitive, I had to become overly aggressive because of the feelings of the sensitivity that I was feeling. You understand what I'm saying? So now here I am at 40 shouty, and I'm trying to equivocate some type of balance between these humility and still, you know, you wrong. You know what I'm saying? Being able to say you wrong without you wrong. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So trying to find that niche, and so yeah, it's crazy, man. There's things that we can develop in childhood that can really put us off into adulthood. And so we can put a number on it or whatever you want to say, like you too old for that. But the point is, when you come to a point of self-realization that there's some issues that you have within you that's holding you back from being your greater self, no matter how old you are, if you can realize it, then that's the day of victory. So the next step is to be able to come out of those things and surround yourself with people who are going to help you come out of those things and cut off those people who keep trying to put you back into it. So that's my take on
that.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, Jihad.
What's going on, man? Up in the hometown, St. Louis, running around with the babies and grandbabies.
Listen, I already know you are enjoying it. We thank you for being able to pop in. I know you can't stay long, but we're just really getting into dealing with trauma bonds and our take on it, our experience, and just, our perception of what it is and what it's been for us. So would you like to speak on, trauma bond? We've done our research. We did our homework. I let Jazz know. And, I told you and said it blew my mind. So what is your experience and your take on trauma bonds?
Well, once I understood what a trauma bond is, like when me and Jazz talk, I would say trauma bonds is basically like things that's passed down to us that didn't necessarily work as far as problem solving. Trauma bonds from things that happened in childhood, youth, that you subconsciously are unaware of, that comes out at different times in your life, whether it's career, whether it's relationships, or whatever the case may be, even sometimes in your personal mental health. But trauma bonds is basically just being bonded to something by choice. You know what I'm saying? A trauma bond is something that you do by choice. You know what I'm saying? The word bonding is like investing in time in something, whether it's good or bad. So it's just basically, when you're dealing with trauma bonds, you're bonding with something that you're choosing not to heal from. Whether it could be anger, it could be gluttony, it could be a number of things. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you want to break those bonds because as you get older and you come into the consciousness of what exactly is bothering you, the things that set you back, then you should be conscious enough to work towards it to break those bonds. It's another word we used to use, man. Coming up in the church, it was called what is it called? Burdens, yokes, or something like that.
Yeah,
something to that degree.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yokes.
Yokes. Yeah. So a lot of times, man, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to be broken. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it's a turnoff to have, if you're in your 40s and 50s talking about what happened to you in your 20s. That's a major turnoff for me. I don't want to hear about anybody dealing with any type of trauma that late in life, because that means that you chose to always, hold on to that, or you want to fall off onto that as a pity party and make an excuse for not excelling and trying to do at least the best you can in life. But the trauma bonds, man, they can come in all types of shapes and forms, man. They really can. Trauma bonds can come through vices. Trauma bonds can come through, people have a traumatic incident in their life and then it changes them as a person for the worse. And they bond to this thing, you know what I'm saying? Instead of, because we all been hit with things that it's hard to deal with that we couldn't really problem solve and get over. But basically, man, just not making the choice to really heal yourself from things that you're bonding from. It's an easy escape to fall back into those traumas.
Let me ask you, because you just said something that was sort of, it was direct opposite of what I just said right before you came on. But I agree with you on one point. It shouldn't be an excuse. But I think for whatever reason that we can have these things suppressed for so long, but when we come to a point of enlightenment, we may be in our 40s, we may be in our 50s. It may have happened to us in our 20s, but we didn't understand it to that point in time. So that's one take. And then it'd be some people who really realizes, okay, this is what's going on with me. But rather than choose to fix it, they choose to look for empathy or sympathy or the woe is me. Yeah. And I totally agree. Those excuses are something that I disagree with. But I think that enlightenment can come at any point in life.
Right.
But let me say this, because you can't even view it as an excuse, because this is the thing. When we go through those things in our teens, 20s, or even younger, and we get to the age of realization, we'll say that for an example. The thing is, we look for other people to heal us. So we look for a piece of information when we tell what has happened to us in our 20s and 30s, 40s, whatever you want to call it. So when you expressing that, you looking for something that somebody can tell you to help you heal. But in all actuality, that's where a lot of the trauma bonds form, because we looking for other people to help heal us instead of healing ourselves. The thing is, that's why so many relationships fail, because we look for the other person to heal us. We don't look to heal ourselves and then come together and heal as a unit in other areas that we make up for each other. The thing is, yeah, it's a lot of stuff that has been, watered down, because we never seen effective healing. So we've always seen problems, but we never dealt from a solution standpoint. And my thing is, we can have a problem all day long, but what are solutions? Like I told Jahad, I only want to deal with solutions from this point on, because there's areas in my life that I haven't healed in. So I'm not even going to speak on those areas, because I know I haven't healed in them, and I can't, speak effectively and not being biased. So my thing is, I'm not looking for somebody else to heal me in those areas, because I know I got to do the work myself. But it's certain things, because you didn't have that voice to talk to a family member, because it's mind over matter. And that's so sad in the Black community, because when you try to go and mental health, like Jahad said, is another issue with trauma. If you go to your family in the Black community, it's so taboo, because you're reaching out about mental health. Oh, it's mind over matter. Just get yourself together, pray. Y'all deal with prayer and worship. That's how y'all that's what y'all do. Y'all think prayer and worship is gonna help heal the land. That's not gonna heal the land, because the thing is, if you don't have an effective resolution or solution to these issues that we have dealt with as minors into our young adulthood, we are going to constantly bond over trauma. It's no fixing it, because we never seen effective healing. That's number one. Everybody on this podcast cannot tell me that you've seen effective healing. Period. Like, we've seen people go at it with each other, and what they do is sweep it under the rug. The next day, everybody okay, but it's never been an effective conversation. It's never been where the kids or the young adults could see the effective resolutions. So you sitting here with all this built up stuff that you can't talk about, because that's not how the family operates. So here you are as an adult, you trying to adult and heal that inner child, those inner wounds. So when you get with somebody, you start telling them about their situation, because you attract what you are at the moment that you meet a person. Everybody that's in your circle, you attracted them, whether regardless of how low your vibrational frequency was at the time, you attract whatever your closest circle is. So when I noticed people in my circle had the same issues I had, I need to change my circle, because I'm not bonded to your trauma. So the thing is, at what point do we have effective healing and effective resolutions? If you know somebody is struggling, don't talk to them about the problem. Talk to them about the solution and healing the bonds.
There we go.
That, amen. Come on, listen.
Jasmine, I'm so happy to hear you say that, because sometimes I could say people within my life would be like, but after a while, I don't get me wrong, I'm always a listening ear. But baby, listen, I'm not listening to you tell me the same story for 6 months. How we gonna fix this? What can we do? How can I help?
Yeah.
It's one thing to vent, to talk about, but I don't feel like I'm being a good sister, but I'm being a good sister, friend, daughter, granddaughter, whatever, if I keep let you say and do the same thing over and over again, and I can't help you find a solution. Eventually, for my own peace, for my own sanity, I'm gonna have to remove myself from that situation, because see, this is how I seen it. After a while, then you just coming to keep dumping your mess on me.
Yeah.
If there's not a solution that you want, or we not gonna try something, or if I can't support you through counseling, whatever it may be, then after a while, then that negativity, whatever we want to call it, then you just pouring that into somebody else if you're not trying to find effective solutions.
And it's draining. And I absolutely agree with you, Simply Lorraine, and that's something that I've been big on. I don't feel like I'm a know-it-all problem solver, but I feel like if I'm not being effective in your life to the point to where you are still on rewind and repeat, conversation after conversation, month after month, year after year, no pun intended to anybody, I'm not helping you grow. I'm not helping you, be better, be great. You gotta get from around me, because that's my ultimate goal in life. If I can't help you elevate, then I'm just not the person that needs to be in your space. But in this space, we're growing, we're learning, and we're growing. Like Corey Post said, there are times when you don't know. And when you don't know, that's one thing, lack of knowledge. But once you know and you realize, and for instance, a scenario you use, Jazz, where this youth is sitting here saying, I have something to say. Now that I'm old enough to be able to tell you, daddy or mama or auntie or whoever, you know what I mean? All these years when you've done this and put this on me and made me do that and made me think this way, made my favorite color be pink, whatever it is, let me tell you who I am today. We don't want to hear it. We're all miss me with that. I'll go on. I ain't got time. All you in yourself, you're smelling yourself, you're whatever these little things we come up with to disregard a person's individual being. And I think that the biggest issue is that in our community, in our family, nobody wants to sit down and have, like you said, Jazz, an effective conversation. Effective conversation does not mean that I have to agree with you or you have to agree with me. But collectively, we have to agree that this conversation is necessary. And we are agreeing that even if I don't agree with you, we are here to find a solution. To me, that's an effective conversation. In this family, in my family, it's very hard to have an effective conversation, because if your opinion differs from the elder, you are automatically disregarded or considered disrespectful. And at the end of the day, you're considered any and everything but a being. And I think that's where we find a lot of anger in our youth, because at the end they're just not being heard. They, like you said, they don't have a voice. And in today's society, it's not do as I say, it's do as I see. And a lot of us are teaching, even elders, grandparents now, you're teaching them one thing that goes totally against the respect that you demand. You understand what I'm saying? You're showing them something that nobody would respect, but because I'm your elder, respect me when I do it, and you better not do it. We gotta get out of that. That's where I think the cycle is just becoming really redundant, and a lot of the young lives, they really are not taking us serious. They'd rather be out here like this, grasping at straws. You know what I'm saying? Before they take anybody serious, because the few of us that are saying we got it wrong, the few of us that's saying, I'm sorry, baby. I know, I taught you this, but that wasn't right. It's too loud. It's still too loud. You know what I mean? We need the minority is still too loud. So we have to become a bigger majority that's saying this ain't right. What you feel, how you feel, if you choose to go around Ain't Joe Blow, you can go around, Ain't Susie B or Ain't Joe Blow. That's just not my preference. You understand what I'm saying? Or if I want to go be around Ain't Susie B, and baby, that you don't want to, it's a choice. We've taken people's individualism away from them, from just projecting our fears, projecting, the things that make us uncomfortable. And I am bad at it with my older children, and especially when it comes to fears. They could be headed somewhere, ready to do something. And I get it from my mama. Baby, it could be anything. I could say, Mama, we going hiking. Well, y'all know them coyotes is out there, and you know they just killed the man in that the woods right next door to where y'all going, instilling fear. So now when my kids go somewhere, don't forget, people, they still snatching people, and don't forget to look for the, like, instilling fear. And it's just, and I'm using it as an example, but it's handed down, you know what I mean? Behavior of, again, being bonded to trauma. To me, when my mom did that, that was love. She looking out for me. She care about me. And to a certain extent, there's nothing wrong with it. But again, when it becomes something that I'm not fearful of, and now you've projected that on me, I projected that on them, it starts to be more of, you know what I mean, this whole one mind, one body, and everybody's losing their individualism. So tell me, say again, manipulation.
There it is.
Spirit of Jezebel all day long. Seriously, manipulation. So what is the solution? Because we know the problem. We know that there are trauma bonds out here that people are attached to more than pretty much anything else. And they just don't know it. What are some of the solutions, Jazz, that you've seen that works to kind of break that down? I've seen some solutions in the research, but on a practical, realistic sense, what have you done to actually break down those trauma bonds that you've experienced?
So with me personally, what I've done is, I think with how our family structure has been for so long, you got to respect me, regardless of what I do, what I say, however I make you feel. So everybody know I'm not confrontational until you put me in a situation to be confrontational. So as I got older in my mid-20s, I'm looking at people like, I don't like what you were doing. I don't like how you portraying. I don't like none of this. So I would check it. It didn't matter if it was whoever, Uncle Tom, Jean, Jack, it didn't matter, whoever it was that was sitting around. If I don't like it, I'm gonna voice my opinion. And so everybody was like, she mean, she's opinionated, she's this, she's that. No, I'm just not going to continue to allow you to make me feel unworthy, because at the end of the day, because I can't voice that, and because I have to respect you, because that's what the family dynamic is. It's all about, well, oh, them such and such kids, they kids, so they so together, they so respectful, because you imputed fear into your children to make us that way, or you imputed those things. Oh, I want my kids to be upstanding. I don't want nobody to have nothing. No, and I'm gonna give you an example of what happened when I met my husband. Like, I was all over the place because we had suffered a tragedy, and you know, it was a very traumatic situation that we had just went through, and so I was to the point I was all over the place, and I was yelling at them, not letting them, voice their opinions, not letting them say anything. You know what my husband told me? He said, he sat me down. He said, babe, he said, if you don't allow your girls to talk, you're going to lose them. He said, you're going to lose them. So I'm imputing, this is, if he was in his house, he'll tell you, this is the God's honest truth. I'm not making this up. So what I have been doing is imputing all that trauma that I've experienced in childhood, not being able to say what I want to say, not having a voice, not being able to have those open and honest conversations into my children. So when he said that, I sat my girls down and I said, listen, I said, from this day forward, I said, y'all can tell me anything. I said, I'm not going to get upset with you. None of that. I said, don't hide anything from me. Give me the option to help you. That's a conversation that we haven't had in this family. Give your children, let your kids have the option to come to you so you can help them. I tell my girls all the time, don't hide anything from me. I don't yell at them. I don't curse them out. I don't do any of that. When my husband brought that to my attention, he was like, you are not giving your girls a voice. My kids was like, they were way younger. And I'm like, you know what? I had to sit back and think about that. I'm like, man, I hadn't had a voice for so long. So I imputed all this into my offspring. And here we are. My daughter's scared to say anything to me. They feel like they don't have a voice. They don't want to come to me and tell me nothing because they think I'm going to flip out on them. I inflicted so much trauma and fear into my offspring. So when he told me that, that completely changed how I operated with my daughters,
Wow.
completely. Because
Wow.
now my
Yeah.
my daughters are who they are because of him. They
Yeah.
have grown because now I'm like, you know what, my kids are they some great kids. But I'm
They are.
so quick to, hey, such and such and such and such, because that's what I've seen. So for
Yeah.
me to
Yeah.
break those bonds, he brought that to my attention. So I started working on it. Then with other things, if you notice, I stay so far away from people is because the thing is, it's certain situations where I've been thrown under the bus
Yeah.
so many times. But my thing is, I don't ever have to say anything to you because I don't speak on people that's irregular. So for me not to have to speak on people that's irregular, I'm gonna let you live your life and you enjoy it, but I'm gonna still be peaceful with you. So that don't make
Right.
me no punk. It don't make me less than. It makes me the adult, and I'm over you. I've outgrown you, and I'm okay without growing people. And that's why I feel like a lot of adults, they try and savage relationships. And hold on, I don't care if it's your mama, your cousin, sister, aunties, grandma. I don't care who you are. If you no longer serve an effective purpose in my life, you got to go.
Hey,
Period. I don't I don't
I love
I don't
that.
take that lightly because my thing is, well, that's family. Family will have you so messed up. Family's not what it used to be. You can't go to family and say, hey, I need you, because your business gonna go to Sue, Tom, Joe, John, everybody else, because it's nothing is sacred anymore. So in
Yeah.
that sense of the aspect with trauma bonds, I cut it off. And
Yeah.
people like, you
Yeah.
cut people off, you cut people off. Why am I going to keep allowing you to do the same thing to me over and over, expecting a different outcome? That's mental illness. That's something is wrong with you. Clearly, that's
Yeah.
insanity. If you constantly
Exactly.
allowing your family, friends, whoever it is, to constantly do the same thing to you, you know this person, this is just who they are because they haven't started the healing process. So why am I
Yeah.
allowing you to be in my life and I know you are nothing to me? You serve no real purpose to me. You can't even pour into me. So I'm not going
Right.
to allow you to keep imputing your negativity or your inconsistencies in my life. So you break the bonds
Insecurity.
and you be okay with them. You have to be okay with breaking bonds. Like I can sit in my house, my husband and be like, you don't ever want to leave the house, you don't, because it's nobody that's worthy of my time apart from my household. Who
Right.
why am I giving you so much of myself and then I have to come home and carry your weight? Why am I doing that to myself? That is mental illness. And
Yeah.
black folks got that so bad because, well, you need to be there for them. Be there for them for what?
Right.
What am
Right.
I there
Right.
for inconsistency? Why are we
Yeah.
doing that to ourselves? My thing is, if it's gonna affect my household, I don't want no parts of it. And I tell anybody in my entire family, my siblings can tell you this. If anything affects my household that have to do with anybody outside my household, I gotta let you go. You got to go.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
You got to go. But the thing is, you have to be okay with letting people go.
That has been my struggle. Jihad, tell me, I gotta ask you this because I know that you dive into a lot of different things that are going to be food for your soul. You're constantly learning. When it comes to trauma bonds and realizing that you were also affected by trauma bonds, what are some ways, like Jazz just gave us, that you've actually learned to deal with the trauma bonds, face them, address them, and just really be comfortable in your skin and who you are?
Journal. Every day I keep a journal.
I
Every
like
day I
that.
write down what happens to the day. And then sometimes I use it to look back on the progress. I look back on what happened with that day. Sometimes I look to see if I'm repeating the same process, the same mistakes. Um, Meditation. Um, I'm kind of like Jazz, you know what I'm saying? I'm very introverted because, it's just like a science of separation. You understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so now I'm talking strictly solutions of how I deal with them. I'm not talking about necessarily trauma bonds. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And I
Right.
can't speak to how everybody should do it because everybody's wired differently in how they should do it. So I can only speak for myself. But definitely journaling, meditation,
Mhm.
and for real, a lot of cardio in my exercise. Breathing. Breathing is very essential to life. Knowing how to breathe. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because breath and everything has everything to do with oxygen that goes to the brain. So a lot of cardio and just running for, because, you know what I'm saying, the center of the body, which, you know what I'm saying, is called the chi, which is representation of life. And that's why when you see a lot of people that don't have, you know, guts or, you know, big bellies, you know what I'm saying, they're very healthy people, because the center of the immune system is in the center of the body. Now I'm not knocking anybody for it, but that's just something that I focus on because I want to be centered and balanced. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times, if I think hard enough, I'll try to think about where I need to make amends, to sometimes make amends to get myself peace, or to make amends to let them know that this is it, and I leave in peace. You understand what I'm saying? Because some bridges need to be burned. You understand what I'm saying? As you constantly evolve and you grow, some bridges need to be burned. You ain't got time to wait for those that don't understand it and ain't ready to grow. I'm not doing that no more. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times I make sure that whatever my time is spent with the youth, not adults. So for the most part, just me, man, just meditation, journaling, and a lot of cardio, just a lot of running, breathing, learning how to manifest breathing and meditation and things of that nature. And you ask why, you know what I'm saying? You ever notice, like, when you angry, right, or you mad, if you ever go hit a punching bag and you blow that energy, you won't be angry and mad no more. Impossible. You're tired because you're windy and you're breathing. This is why I've been mastering breathing and a lot of cardio and meditation. You understand what I'm saying? And so when I go into my meditation mode, my mind is much more clear. My mind is much more expanded. And so when it comes to dealing with the trauma bonds, a lot of them I'm either going to acknowledge them, or I'm gonna burn that bridge and make amends and separate in peace.
I like that you said that. It helped. It actually, both of y'all just confirmed and taught me a lot about where I am, because I too have been feeling like a weirdo. I've gotten very comfortable with not being around my family that traditionally I was raised to always be around, go to every family function, every birthday, every funeral, every this, every that. And lately I've just been listening to my spirit man that's saying, no, don't go. And usually when I don't go, I've missed a lot of things that I do not want on me anymore anyway. And I'm comfortable in my space. I have what I have going on, but shy of that, the only people that are in my space is people that I know will feed me, people that I know that will actually not allow me to be sleep, that not allow me to be stagnant, not allow me not to basically, you know what I'm saying, not grow in my mentally grow, you know what I'm saying, physically just grow and be healthy. And so it is people like you, Jihad, it's people like Jazzy. I have a very small circle now, and we have a huge family. But like you said earlier, Jazzy, if I had to stop and think, like, exactly what am I getting out of this? And I'm even looking at friendships like that now. I ain't really here for the mess. You know what I mean? I ain't here for the gossip. What are you giving me that's gonna be food for my soul? Are we exchanging knowledge? Are we exchanging solutions and ideas to be able to grow? And anything less than that, it irritates me. But where I've grown in being connected to the right people, you know, I'm able to now say, it's not necessary for me to call and go back and forth with you about this. Actions speak louder than words. And like you said, I just cut it off. Now, there are those relationships where I know, if I know I can conversate with you and we can actually, you hear me, I hear you, and we can have a solution. Those are the relationships that I'm focused on keeping and maintaining, because no two people are going to always be around each other, or no two people are going to always see eye to eye. But if we can agree to disagree and come up with a solution, you are a relationship worth keeping. I've narrowed it down. And when I look up, I'm like, I used to be the road runner. I used to be the one that stayed in touch with every family member, from mama's side, daddy's side, great grandma, the other side, fifth generation cousins, whatever it was. But I noticed that everybody cannot go in the season. And as my seasons changed, everybody couldn't go. You know what I mean? Because everybody wasn't ready to grow where I was ready to grow. And no matter how crazy or, you know, whatever the words that you chose to call it are me, rather, I know now I'm comfortable in my skin and in my circle, and my circle is full of life. And anything else out the opposite of life is death. I don't want to be around nothing and nobody dead. And I love to have conversations with people that is going to challenge my mind. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to have conversations about, girl, you know, cousin such and such or uncle such and such. What does that do for your life? You got to stop and ask. The older we get, the more time really matters. You can't go back and get back those minutes and those moments where you're literally wasting time on things that does not grow you as a person. And the one thing that I know for me, I think I'm big on is communication. And I would ask the panel, whoever want to take a stab at this, why is it so hard to communicate? You know, when you realize that you have trauma bonds with your spouse or your family members, why do y'all think it's so hard to communicate with them about this?
Well, me first and foremost.
I'll start because.
Go ahead, Jazz. Go ahead, Jazz.
So for me personally, coming up how I did, I couldn't voice my opinion. You could say something, it was like, shut up, be quiet, such and such, such, such. So I was always diminished as a person in that area. So fast forward, here I am, mid-40s, close to, you know, almost anyway. But here I am at this point in my relationship with my husband. He's a communicator to the core. That is just who he is. His thing is, you got to think, women are so emotional and men think logically. When I go to my husband with a problem, his thing is he has to solve it. He's not thinking on an emotional level. So that's why I always have to tell people, let's remove emotion out of it. Let's deal with logic and facts. My thing is, because I was not given a voice in certain situations, I'm not an effective communicator. Like I'll shut down. That's just, it's always been me. But him, he can't thrive like that. Men cannot survive in an atmosphere where their woman or the household is unbalanced, because that woman in that house, if she ain't right, the whole household gonna be off. And that man is gonna try and figure out a way to have a resolution. That's it. So because I was diminished in that area, I take basically that with my husband, and it's like tug of war, because I'm trying to tell him how I'm feeling and communicate. He's listening. I may not convey the message right, and then boom, it's an argument. So you try to resolve it. You don't want to have conflict, but that's the thing. We've never been taught effective resolutions. That is the key problem, especially women. We have not been taught that, and we look to the men to heal us. That is not our men job. It's not the men's job to heal us. And that's where it becomes problematic, because we looking at them like, you got to fix me. That is the most insane thing that any woman can think in her life, is that man is supposed to fix them. I can't fix him. I can't give you something that I've never been given. How can I give you something that was never imputed in me? So by that being the case, I have to learn. Even where I am right now, I'm still learning. I still have to learn effective communication. Like my husband, just like the other night, we had a little back and forth, because what I do, shut down. The thing is, you have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone. That's all it is. That's trauma. Anytime you can't effectively communicate with your spouse, the one you sleeping and snoring in their face every night, that's a problem from your childhood. I don't care what nobody say, because that is the person that you're supposed to be leaning on the hardest. I shouldn't have to be able to call somebody else and be like, hey, such and such, and talk about this problem and get a solution from them. I need to do it with him in my household. Like, I don't talk to a soul about what happens outside of my household, because you can't help me. You're not going to give me effective resolution. What you're going to do is talk about my situation, and you're going to impute and speak negativity into the atmosphere. I don't need you to do that. So at what point do we stop looking to our spouse, our men, to heal us, and we do that self-work?
Right. I love that. Corey Poe?
I can't speak for women. I'm not a woman. I can speak for a man, but I can't speak for all men. I'm Corey Poe. So when I tell you this is what Corey Poe thinks and what Corey Poe believes. First and foremost, I believe that when men speak with women, first and foremost, we have that mentality that we got to be strong. It's hard to be transparent and very vulnerable with a woman for whatever reason. It's been my experience in that state of vulnerability. I don't want to hear that come back. I don't want to feel like that's being used against me because I've been open and honest with you about how I feel about a certain thing or situation. I heard T.D. Jakes preach a sermon talking about Samson and Delilah. And it was like, what was it about Delilah that made Samson make all those bad decisions? And he pointed to a verse where it says that he laid his head in her lap. It was a place where he could rest. It was a place that he felt comfortable. It was a place that where he felt like he was accepted, even though he was being betrayed and set up for the okie doke. She made that environment to a place to where it was a place where he felt accepted. So I believe that's one of the reasons why it's hard for me. I can't speak for all men again. I'm Corey Poe. That's one of the reasons why it's hard for me to be vulnerable, because I believe that creates a whole nother. It comes back and then it's I eat you whole about it. And so we carry things. We think our own thoughts. We try to work it out in our own heads. Just for the simple fact again, because if it feels like it's almost like you're speaking to an enemy. I'm giving you all my plays. I'm giving you all my emotions, and you turn back, use it against me. What the hell do I got? So
right.
that's one been of the reasons that it was hard to effectively communicate, especially what we're dealing with, and come up with a solution in your own mind, because you feel like you're alone in it.
Right. I love that. Jihad, why is it so hard to speak to our family and people that we're dating, when it comes to talking about, trauma bonds? But before you answer, Jihad, we have a comment from Christy Lynn. Hey, Chris, love you. Thank you for watching. So Christy Lynn says, yeah, she said, I'm just now realizing that I was really applying pressure for my husband to accept my burdens. Jihad, can you answer that or speak to
that? Basically, I think somebody on the panel already has for her to make that comment. Whatever was said, it clicked to her. You know what I'm saying? Whoever said it, it clicked to her. So at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? It had to be between somebody that's married, whether it's Jazzy or Corey or even you, to have said something in a setting of a relationship as far as husband and wife, to make her realize that there was pressure. And it might even come from Jazzy, because I think Jazzy speaks very well for married women and what she goes through, because she's very transparent. So, but I will say this: I admire her for at least making a recognition and hopefully wanting to make that change, as opposed to a lot of time people will hear something that really applies to them, but it's hard for them to accept it, and they'll dump it off on the spouse, so they better have ass. They the reason why I am the way that I am. Yeah, I'm just now joining. So, whatever was said, it clicked. Whoever said it, it clicked to her.
Yeah. So Jihad, speak to us about what you think, or why you think it's so hard for our family members, our loved ones, to actually talk with us about trauma bonds. Is it that they're in denial? They just haven't done the research. They can't connect. Why is it so hard for family members to really accept or connect with the reality that we all have some type of trauma bond or have been responding to it?
Because they don't want to feel like they're disrespecting their parents that raised them to think a certain way in tradition. Second of all, which makes for a stubborn mind and one that can't expand to hear what you're actually saying. Second of all, secrets. Holding stuff that I know should be put out there. I'm just gonna put it out there. For whatever reason, there's a lot of secrets. People don't open their mouth. It's a form of ill communication.
Yeah.
Third of all, I would say the reason that it is because I seen something the other day. I think you said on the last podcast. The way you raise a child today, back then, and it's not the way you've been raising a child today. You have to learn how to change with the times. And when people can't change with the times, they're gonna struggle with people that evolve outside of what we were taught, as far as the realm in family traditions and whatever the case may be. Because, like I said, when I go through stuff, I just break down and don't talk to nobody because I can't have nobody to talk to. Because if I really want to take it there and get deep, they don't understand. They're gonna hit me off with just a prayer and this, that, and the third. That don't work for me. It never has. It may work for you in the 60, 70, 40. It don't work for me. I choose to be a critical thinker and look at stuff and follow the logic of some things. So when it comes to communicating, especially with a lot of the elders, they're pretty much raising what they were coming outside of their body. You know what I'm saying? You have to. I think it was when I first was studying my lessons, man.
I figure he'll pop back in. I know that was good. Sorry about that, guys. There he goes. So sorry about the interruption.
Yeah, they did. I ain't getting done. Hello?
Yep, we're with you.
I don't know what's going on with. I'm on the phone tonight. I'm definitely not on the laptop or whatever. But I mean, that's my take on it, and I pretty much just let it go. You know what I'm saying? Because once I start to hear a certain type of language or things being said, I'm just turned off and don't want to talk anymore because that ain't helping me with my problems. It doesn't help with what I reveal because it's never worked for me. It might work for other people, but that don't work for me. You know what I'm saying? So we're not being scientific and not getting to the root of the problem. You know what I'm saying? I want to say one more thing too. Another thing that I do that I'm going to start doing is really detoxing from social media. And you want to know why I say that? Because social media is a place where everybody dumps their trauma. It is a breathing ground for trauma. Social media is a host, like a virus for people to dump their traumas. And you know why I say that? Because this Sha'Carri Richardson deal, right? The girl is not running from what she did. Because my position is you have to learn how to embrace your own. I'm not going to get into the real ramifications of what she's really dealing with it and why she's dealing with it. But at the end of the day, the only reason why people are criticizing this girl because hers is in front of the world. Yours is in private. So ain't nobody saying that you're stupid. Nobody saying that you're dumb. Nobody judge you kind of way you look because you're just an everyday average Joe and she's in front of the world. So why we feel like we got to criticize this girl is because hers was in front of the world on social media. You go to social media, folks can't even make a positive comment without somebody coming in. The people, that's a dumping ground for trauma. And that's why I got to really kick back with it. Because there's nothing positive about it. A trucking group. And I ain't trying to get off subject, but I'm just trying to give you the reason why I'm a really detox and have minimum activity outside of things that I'm trying to do. I'm in 4 or 5 black trucking groups. All right. Not just general trucking groups. You know, I'm in the trucking. I'm in 5 groups. And now one of those groups, can I find anything constructive in? Now, one of those groups, are they serious about anything? But the women gonna post 1,000 selfies a day, half naked, hanging in the truck from the door. All right, the guys gonna always post some dumb stuff, but we ain't learning nothing. When I go to the white trucking groups, they're trying to tell you what kind of self-inflating tires, the new technology on your truck to help with gas mileage, how to extend your cab, how to, where you can get cheap trailers. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? If I can only deal with it maybe once or twice a week. But social media, you got to detox because that's a host of trauma bonds.
Yes, sir.
Literally. Ooh, you said something right there. You definitely said something right there. Christy Land also posted a comment I wanted to touch on, and that is she was saying that and I'm assuming she's answering the question why it's so hard to talk to our family and even our companions about, you know, the trauma bonds. She was saying because once it's out, it has to be addressed, and then there is exposure. And she took the words right out of my mouth. I think that Ebony also, hey boo, we love you. She actually posted a comment, and she posted because there's a lot of denial there. And I absolutely agree with both of these ladies' statements. When you're in denial about something and then you're being asked to address it, you're also being asked to be exposed to it. And like you said, one of you guys, I think Jihad, it may have been you, that you said secrets, you know, and so it's so much that, but what people got to realize in being intentional about wanting to be right and not right is you have to purge. You literally have to purge all this stuff out. We cannot fill ourselves up with all of this good, you know, positive information, vibes, and a new mindset, a new way of thinking, if we are putting it on top of the other stuff. Because when you think about things that grow, you know what I mean? What's going to happen is the good stuff is going to be pushed out by the bad stuff. So we have to purge in order to be replenished with all the good stuff. And I absolutely agree with you, Ebony and Christy Lynn. People are just in denial and don't want to be exposed in order to heal themselves, not be healed by anybody else, but dealing with the trauma bonds. I think it's something that starts within you. And if you're in denial about a lot of stuff, that's how I think people are. Your feelings is easily hurt. You get in your feelings, like they say. A lot of times, it's because you're in denial. I just put a post up the other day. When somebody is telling you the truth about you to you, stop them when they start lying. Because at the end of the day, that is where healing for me within yourself, it begins. If you pray. Go ahead, Jazz. You had a statement.
This is the thing with this with secrets in the family and all that. The only reason those secrets are not told is because they try to uphold that person's image. The whether it be the elders in the family or whoever it is, they are only keeping those secrets to withhold images. That's it. You trying to keep that person's their sanctity. You trying to keep their posture. You trying to keep them from looking bad. The thing is, I sent, and Jahan can attest to this, I sent him a picture. He thought it was my grandmother, and it wasn't. The thing is, so many secrets in the family that once you start dissecting stuff, family cut you off. No, I don't want to talk about this. They don't want to communicate with you because now you unfolding information like, oh my God, is this really what has happened in our family? You have They don't want to scratch the surface as far as this genetic makeup. They don't even want to deal with the science behind none of this, because the thing is that science is going to tell us exactly who we are. We so quick to always claim something that's not even we that's things out of that's not who we are. Let's get to the real root of it. Who are we really? Tell all those stories. Let's decompress all this. But because you're holding up images and you don't want certain family members to look bad, or you don't want to make your auntie, your cousin, your uncles, or whomever look crazy, you will hold them secrets and take them to the grave. Like we've had family members who had information and took it to the grave. And we out here on this wild goose chase. I know Jahai for a fact has been looking up information. I've shared information with Jahai he had no clue about. So when you steady trying to find this genetic code and you trying to unravel who you are, that make it the hardest, because it's all about self-image. That is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Like my sister Ebony said, denial. They don't want to have to deal with the truths that come behind the denial. Christy Lynn even said it. You expose. They don't want to have those hard conversations, them uncomfortable conversations, because it's like I told Jihad about a situation. We went down to Vicksburg, I can't remember what part of Mississippi we was. We went in
Dexter.
Mississippi. And I'm like, I know I look like the things. I look just like Jihad. But when I got down there, me and this girl had on the same exact outfit. We looking at each other like we could be identical twins. I'm like, Mama, what is this? What's going on with these people? Why do I look just like them? I'm like, no, Mom, I'm supposed to look like them. But I look just
Right.
like these people, and this is on the Sam side. So my thing
Mm.
is, it's so much information that's not being told. It's so much information that everybody holding these books and all these documents. Release them so we can grow. Release them so we can identify as who we really are, and give us that information to acknowledge and to have a forward movement. And we got resolutions to some of the most simple problems that we've been facing.
And I love that you mentioned that, because Jihad actually spoke about something like that on another show, where it was pertaining to, until we really know who our authentic selves really are, some of these characteristics, such as these trauma bonds, you know what I mean? They may actually come from a place that we don't even realize has come from, maybe been handed down, maybe something hereditary that we've attached to, that's been handed down, but because we don't really know our true authentic selves, and the elders that have this information, I believe they put us at such a disadvantage in being able to grow. You know what I mean? It stunts our growth, because I want to know, why do I attract this thing? Or why am I attracted to why am I attracted to trying to feel like I can save this person? Or why does anybody's woe is me story, you know what I mean, reel me in? And I can't detach from it. Sometimes that's a characteristic that was actually may be something in down your lineage that you knew nothing about. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of things, I think, also stems to what you said, what Jazz said, which is not really just knowing the truth. And once we know the truth, being okay with the truth. Who wants to do their loved one a disservice and not sharing the knowledge that'll help them grow as a being? I know as soon as I looked up and found out about the trauma bonds and did the research, I posted it. I started sending it out, because I truly believe each one teach one. You know what I'm saying? And if we start sharing information that, first of all, they don't have right there on social media for us to learn about, they don't want us to know about. They want us to stay in bondage. They want us to stay, you know what I mean, basically clueless to a lot of these things that we are in a constant cycle of rewind and repeat. This is information that they don't want out. To know that you are bonded to a lot of different traumas. And even reading the book about the PTSD, the body keeps score.
Mm-hmm.
And it pertaining to PTSD. And Corey Poe, you read something on that, where trauma bonds, of course, and PTSD are pretty much all intertwined. And the post-traumatic stress syndrome, a lot of that comes from, again, trauma that you have literally been taught to suppress, and not allowed to say, hey, I went through this. Number one, it didn't feel good. Number two, and I want to be over it. Like you said, Jihad, I want to talk to people and deal with people that want to be over it. I've said it before. We're not responsible for what broke us, but we're responsible for choosing to stay broken. And so I think this information right here, and I pray, especially when you're talking about relationships, like Christy Lynn was very transparent about in dealing with it with her husband. I know I've been that way. These are some things that I went through with my husband, and I can honestly, Jazz, I was one of those that Corey Poe was something new for me. I'm used to, when I was younger, I dealt with the dope boys. You know what I mean? He was the only man that I've ever dated that had a heart for God. And then instantly, realizing, okay, he's an ordained minister, my first thought was, he came to save me. Do you know how much animosity and how much bickering we've had over the years because he was not fulfilling my unexpected expectation of him, which was to save me. And I had to realize God had to literally let me know he can't save you. He can't even save himself. I do the saving. And when I realized that, it was like, I guess I'm on my own. And I did have to start healing myself. But we do have that misconception that, people can save us from our traumas. But that's not a reality. People can't save us from our traumas. Simply Lorraine, I haven't heard from you in a while, boo. Where are you at on things that you do? And I know you got some stuff that you do to literally, deal with, minimize, or alleviate the trauma bonds in your life.
So one of the first things I did was like Jazzy said earlier, and then Corey Poe, I had to realize, first of all, I think really actually Corey, Mr. Poe brought it to my attention in one of the shows when he first talked about a lot of his came with sensitivity. And I was like, my God. Like it clicked for me that day. Like I was always when the environment was, I didn't like it, but it was at that time. It was like, hey, like, am I the only person in this room or in this environment that feels like this is not okay?
Yeah,
I'm around adults, I'm around other people my age, and I'm like, what? Like, how is like? So it just really came to me saying to myself, like, this is not okay. So it just kind of builded over time. So once I did get grown, I did get my own place. It was kind of, when I really started dealing with myself and beginning the healing process and just like sitting with myself and spending time with myself, I realized even as a kid, like once I was over being around a lot of people, even I can remember like actually my 9th birthday party, I was so over being around all those kids my age, I went in the room and went to sleep. I was over. I didn't want to be around the party no more. I didn't stop anybody else's good time. I didn't try to make the party over. But I had to realize I need personal space.
Right.
I need to find my place of peace. And so therefore, now I just don't allow anybody to interrupt my peace.
Right.
Which one? There. Where we at? And we're gonna read Ebony's question is, yes, like childhood abuse, it plays a part in your adulthood.
I agree.
Yes, most definitely.
So Ebony said childhood abuse plays a part in your adulthood. And man, we've been experiencing this and having these conversations all week. It absolutely does. And Corey Poe, you touched on that as far as your childhood abuse really playing a big part or affecting your adult, your adult interactions. Jazzy, since it's your sister's comment, how can you relate to, or can you relate to anything where like, childhood trauma affecting your relationships, as you became an adult before you were aware of it?
Absolutely. My sister, she knows exactly what I went through as far as like my childhood dealing with my stepfather. So the thing is, because he diminished who I was as a person, I didn't have a voice. To him, it was like he thought that was making me strong. In all actuality, it made me weak because it made me build up defenses that I never should have had as a woman. It made me have it's like it almost built concrete around my soul because I would as I got into the adulthood, you can't get nothing off on me. I don't care who you are. The softest I've ever been with anybody is my husband, my children now at this stage, and my nephews. My sister tell you when it comes to her kids, I'm weak when it comes to her kids. But the thing is, it still to this day affects my relationship with my husband because I never seen an effective father to daughter relationship. So I can't give my husband something I've never had. So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
can't,
that's good.
so if I can't effectively love myself in certain areas, that's why I say certain things you won't hear me speak on because I haven't healed in those areas of my life, and I won't be able to speak on those things from a non-biased standpoint. So that affects how I deal with my husband. My husband, he is very vulnerable around me. He, if something bothers him, he'll cry, he'll fight until he gets to the bottom of it. And the
Right.
thing is, I never had that space to be vulnerable in my household when I was coming up.
Yeah.
So everything was always on my shoulders. I'm always like, okay, you know what? I got to be strong, 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 strong. But
Yeah.
because I had to be that person for so long, it completely altered who I am. It altered
Oh,
me. Like I should have been carefree. I should have had like such a wonderful free mindset, but because it didn't, that's where a lot of the mental illness come in, at the depression, the anxiety, because i couldn't
mm,
i couldn't develop who I was supposed to be because I was held back for so long. So you got to think my husband now is dealing with the after effects of that, because now
yeah.
I can't give him what I never had. Two, I have to check myself and realize, you know what, I'm going about this thing the wrong way. And he pours into me as much as he can, like certain things that he may not have gotten. He can't give me what he never had. That's why I say that self-healing thing, that's real.
It
I
is.
have to heal in areas of my life to be a better me for him, and vice
Yeah.
versa. I can't be a better me for you, Queen, if I'm still messed up in certain areas. Like you notice, if we talking about certain things with relationships, I tell you, hey, I'm not succeeding in my life in that part, so I can't speak on that without being biased. I'm gonna tell you that quick. I'm not gonna give you poor information. So when it comes to that, coming up in a household where I'm called out of my name by him, or I mean, I'm made to be ridiculous, and I'm made to be feeling like I'm the black sheep. That altered my entire being. So
Man.
now this is who you get. Yeah, I've come a long way. I don't have to respond to everything. You don't mean enough to me anymore to have to respond to anything. So once
Right.
I learned that aspect, now okay, now I know I don't have to deal with you. So those are bonds that I broke right there. So now it's for movement, it's for progress, and I can start effectively loving myself and effectively trying my hardest to be the woman I'm supposed to be for my husband, and learn the things that I need to give him versus trying to give him something I never had.
Right. Right. I absolutely love that. Tony, thank you for watching. Love you. We actually are going to read Tony's comment. Therapy has been a lifesaver for my child. She is able to communicate so much better with me, and I encourage her to be open and honest, trying to break those generational curses. Um, and again, I believe that it goes back to just being in a environment, being raised in a generation where we weren't allowed to to have a voice. Everything that, again, is based on delivery, and we do expect our young lives and the youth to be respectful, but being able to open up that line of communication, I think that is why we are already seeing a much better generation as far as being strong minded. Not that they don't need guidance, not that they still are not making mistakes and things of that such, but they're so much more verbal than we ever have been, and I admire that about them. And I think as a parent, it's so important to take a minute and listen. I man, I had a moment last night with my nephew, and it hurt me to my core because I heard him for the first time, and I was able to hear what I've done to my children, the older ones, because like Corey Post said, Brennan has always been one to be allowed to really voice and express himself respectfully. But I use that same generational, handed down generational behavior of with the older kids with it, do as I say. You know what I mean? They didn't so much have a voice. They do now. And there was a certain point in their life, maybe right in their early to mid teenage years, where I gave and I realized it's important for me to know where their mindset is. Like, how do you feel? And now me and my oldest son, Brand, we can sit on the phone for hours on the porch and chop it up for hours. And it's an exchange of information, even an exchange of power. If I'm weak and they're strong, they build me up. You know what I mean? Just by being able to have that communication that is not based on trauma bonds, but based on a true bond. You know what I mean? That had to be formed. And by breaking down all of this handed down traditional misinformation, not that our parents got it wrong, they did what they knew to do. I just wish that they would be more open-minded and realizing that, hey, maybe we didn't get it right. I don't like for people to say, well, that's just how they are, or they're just set in their ways. Like Jihad said, if you woke up today, and my grandma say, if you ain't put me in my grave, I'm still learning. So we can all still learn, and we can all begin to make the change. It's not a light switch. It won't happen overnight, because these are behaviors that you're talking about our parents has had for 60, 70, almost 80 years. But it's still an opportunity for us to be able to start changing. I would love to just simply be able to have a conversation where I hear you and you hear me. And right now, I can personally say that may be one of the hardest things that I'm able to do with my mom and my sister. I cannot have a conversation that is not surfing. If we got a deep dive, they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Or emotions go to flying. And I say that because they're the closest people with me, to me, as far as outside of my immediate husband and children. And this is something where it just goes on and on and on. And I can say that about aunts and uncles and greats. You know what I mean? This is the biggest thing is communication. Just talk and listen and be respectful. If I say, hey, I don't want to go to the family reunion, that is my choice. I have a choice. I have a right. Like Tony posted, we're giving our kids a voice. We're giving them a choice. They have an option. They have a choice. If you don't want to do something, respect it. It doesn't have to be, oh, she's acting funny, or oh, they own one, or what's wrong with nothing. Today I made an executive decision about my life. That's it. But we have to have all of this chaos. You know what I'm saying? That's a good thing, Jazz. Our families has learned to operate in functional chaos. We function in chaos. But when you're talking about putting things, doing things decent and in order, that's when all hell breaks loose. Do we ever think about how crazy that is?
But that's one of the characteristics of trauma bonds is chaotic up and down. You know what I mean? That's one of the characteristics that are there. So even if, you know what I mean, when you talk about things handed down from generation to generation to generation, it becomes norm. You understand what I'm saying? But now you all, as y'all are in a new age, it seems like all of you guys are seeing that some of these things are wrong and you're trying to change them. And you have to, I know you say you don't like it, but sometimes you have to allow people to be where they are. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to stay there stuck with them. You can continue to speak on the message. And if there's no healthy interaction there, you set it to the side for a while. pick it back up at a later date. But you know what I mean? It's just like you had to come to that realization. So do other people. And again, it's just one of those times where in the Bible, it speaks of a time of an awakening. You know what I mean? And that's what's happening. It's an awakening in this latter generation. You understand what I'm saying? Well, God's stirring things, fixing things for his own glory, ultimately, you know? So,
To speak on what Corey just said, because that's 100 grand what he just said. The fact is, having those conversations mean they have to take accountability and take responsibility for the things that they lack. So in order for them to do that, you have to get outside of your comfort zone. A lot of them are stuck in their ways. I had one family member tell me, I was explaining something to them, showed them the research, showed them the facts, everything. I'm you know, we older, we stuck in our ways. When you say that you older, you this, you that, you dead to me. You stop learning. Why not have these effective these conversations? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to have to deal with the responsibility or take accountability for the things that you did or you didn't do. And that's uncomfortable because again, then you're going back to image. You're going back to, I don't want to look bad in front of this person, or I don't want them to look at me other than who everybody sees me as. The thing is, at what point is self-image not more is less important than you helping heal a soul? At what point is your love more than you
Come
than your
on, Jan.
past and you taking accountability? At what point is that person's growth more significant in your life than your image or you being the person that everybody run to for everything? At what point do we put aside our foolish pride and say, hey, you know what? I messed this up, but what can I do to help you progress and move forward?
Thank you.
They don't take accountability and responsibility for the things that have happened in the past. And until that happens, it's not going to be an effective resolution.
Let me ask you this, even if they don't take accountability, how much it still speaks to, in my opinion, still speaks to a brokenness in us, because if they don't take the accountability, they're not validating our emotions. So what we're still looking for is that validation, which is again part of that broken trauma bond process that we have. We're looking for somebody to validate our feelings for the way you've made me feel. And when we feel like that's not validated, we stay stuck there. And that's why I'm saying it has to come to a point to where you address it and you have to keep pushing, whether they validate it or accept accountability or not.
And but the thing is, what I'm saying, Corey, what I'm saying to that, Corey, is when you have those hard conversations with them, I'm not looking for validation, because this is my thing. I'm validate myself. I don't need validation from nobody. That's why I am who I am today. Because once I realized I don't need validation from you, and you, life completely changed. It put me in a peace that I never had before in my life. Because your lack of validation was affecting my household. So now it was affecting my life. Anything that's affecting myself personally and my household, it has to go. So I don't need the validation for that. But the thing is, if we are going to have those open and honest conversations, and you know, when they start getting upset and don't want to have it, and they going, well, and the screaming matches happen, that's because they don't want to take accountability and responsibility for their lack thereof. So I'm not looking for validation in that. But what I'm saying to what you said is, at what point do we start looking and say, hey, you know what? I know I messed this up, but let me help this baby get where they need to be. And let me show you something different. It's not even about validation. It's just like you said, Corey, it's about, you know what? We can change this. They ain't got to do that. You know, we can come back to that conversation, but what can you do at that point with the piece of the conversation we've had to help somebody move forward, especially the youth? It ain't even got nothing to do with us, because now we on a whole different playing field. We on a different realm completely, because we have a better understanding than what our parents had.
Yes,
ma'am. Okay. With that being said, is it like just the more and more I'm hearing these last like 20 minutes, to me it almost seems like some of that, like, what can we tell our viewers now? And what I can say from this point is, no matter what you have to do to heal yourself. And take the time to heal. If it's therapy, if nobody wants to have those hard conversations with you, do whatever it is that you need to do to heal and to help the youth around you heal and to move forward.
And that's what I believe conjoined with Corey Poe and Jazz just literally said. Corey Poe, I absolutely understand your point of view of, and I agree with saying, hey, you know, if I bring this to your attention, that this is something that I need you and I to deal with in order, you know, for us to grow past this, and they don't respond according to what you may hope for, you know what I mean? You got to heal regardless. But I also hear Jazz saying that it's not so much about validation, which right now for me, what I receive, or what the response is after I'm addressing things like trauma bonds that have been instilled in our kids, and we're trying to keep our grandkids from having. When I see that you're so stuck in that place and you're complacent and you're okay with being there, the validation for me, actually, it's confirming that you are definitely somebody that now I know I can no longer take in this season. You can't be in this space with me anymore. So it allows me to see, is it some relationships, it's worth being able to not seek the validation, but seek to see, okay, are we in the same mindset with this? And are we in agreement with being able to come together, you know what I mean, and attack this thing as one moving force, as a movement, versus you want to stay there, and that's fine in meeting people where they are. But sometimes when we got to meet people where they are, it allows us to be, it makes the giraffe have to hang their head down for way too long to get on the turtle's level. And that's what I'm not going to do, because just like it took me a long time, and it's a process for me to get up here and be able to hold my head up and stick my chest out and walk straight, it's going to take the same thing for you. I'm praying for you, baby. I really am. I pray God get you there. But in the process, I got to grow without you. And so I need you to tell me right now where we at, because we can cut this whole relationship off right here and now. Not that I doubt that you won't get there, but what you won't do is hold me back while you work your way on up to getting here. I got things to do.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Right.
That's exactly what Corey was saying.
Yeah. I'm kind of, you know, basically summing up what both of y'all said that made one whole statement that everybody.
We're speaking the same language. Absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking the same language. Both of them play a big part. But I wanted to be clear on the validating part, because the validating part is definitely for you. I need to validate for myself if this person is worth keeping, you know what I'm saying, in this season in my life. And again, we have to remember, people are in your life for a reason, season, and lifetime. And there are reasons where we've served our purpose, and we have to know when to move on. There are seasons where, hey, this was a season, it was great, it's been fun, we learned what we're supposed to learn, you understand, and it's over with. And then there are those that are a lifetime. And for me, it's the lifetimes that I'm constantly in their ear, and I'm constantly, you know, trying to really make those relationships stronger. You know what I mean? Because I know that we got to walk this thing out. And like Jazz said, that relationship for me is my husband. That's the relationship that I'm constantly working on. But anything else, I have realized all of these things that I've been bonded to, they are the things that have been mentally draining me, exhausting me. And I got a saying where, excuse my language, I'm giving people their shit back. If it ain't got nothing to do with me or mine, I'm giving you shit back. Don't call me about it. I ain't your fake Oprah, your fake doctor, your fake counselor. I ain't none of the above. Because again, I'm always here to share. If you know me, I'm going to share it as soon as I know it. I don't care what it is. If it's how to get money, where you understand, if it's how to start this, if it's where to go to get some clothes or food or whatever the information is, I'm going to share the information. But you got to have the will in you to do the work like I am doing the work. So that's what I got out of this show when it comes to trauma bonds. Everybody has a story. It's not your story that matters as much as what you do with it. But once you have learned something, you can't unlearn it. So from this point on, if you watch this show, you know, and it's just about, you know, our generation doing better. It's about our generation, you know what I mean? Just breaking the cycle, breaking the chains, like Tony said, generational curses, just being in bondage. You know what I mean? Just we've really been in bondage for too long. And prayerfully, we are all teaching our children it's okay. You know what I mean? Talk to your babies, man. Find out where their head is. It's this no different than our generation, you know, our elders that kept secrets from us. When we don't talk to our kids, you know, we don't really know what to pray for. We don't know how to guide them. When the elders, and again by default because it was learned behavior, kept certain secrets and things from us, we had spirits on us. We had things that we didn't even realize we had to pray off of us. They didn't give us an opportunity to pray, to know what to pray for. We were raised up in church and we were taught to pray, but it's a different ball game when you know what to pray for. And I think that's what, you know, the trauma bonds mean for me. Jazz?
I want to speak on two things. I want to speak on something that Tony said. Tony made the comment about the, you know, that her having, you know, her baby in counseling, you know, is helping. This is another thing that I feel family has to completely stop doing. Have to stop acting like counseling is taboo. Counseling helps people because obviously if they need to go to a counselor, they can't come to you. They can't come to you. So they have to have an outlet. So I went to someone, I'm like, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. The comment that I got back is mind over matter. Get yourself together. Da 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 da. You don't do that if somebody is coming to you struggling. That's why mental illness in the Black community is so messed up and taboo because we cannot get an outlet. And if you go to a counselor, they oh, you crazy, ain't nothing wrong with me, you crazy for not going to resolve some of these childhood traumas and issues and problems that you got. That's mental illness, not recognizing it.
Yes.
And the second thing I want to speak on is you said something earlier in the show that I meant to comment on, and that's about being around or going to certain events that family having. I told my offspring, I said, let me explain something to y'all. Y'all older now. I said, we didn't have a choice in who we had to be around. We had to go and we had to do it. I said, I don't care if it's your grandmama, your uncles, cousins, daddy. I don't care who it is. And if my daughters were sitting right here, they'll tell you, my husband will tell you, this is something that I'm huge on. If you don't want to be around them, you are old enough. You don't have to go nowhere you don't want to go. If somebody makes you uncomfortable, you don't need to be around them. If somebody is talking to you crazy, again, I don't care if it's your grandmama, your granddaddy, cousin, uncle, you respectfully handle your business. And then if they still coming crazy, you come get me and Will and let us deal with it at that point. But the thing is, these kids are young adults. They don't live life careful like our baby boomers do. They don't live life vicariously through other people. They live in life. I watch our baby boomers live vicariously through us. Oh, I'm gonna go do this. Oh, what y'all doing? They want to jump on the bandwagon. No, stay in your lane. This is a whole different generation. This is a whole different era. You cannot do what I do. It's impossible and get the same result. It's impossible because you're too close-minded. The thing is, we have to set better standards as far as mental health in the Black community. We have to set better standards as far as actually having these conversations that's going to be productive and help us, you know, open the door for other people to be able to release. And we just need to be, we need to be a soft place to land for our households, period.
Yes, that was a strong statement. We've got to be a soft place to land for our households, and just to literally piggyback off of that, you know what I mean? Be consistent. You got a lot of OGs that's like, they big on being loyal, but for me, loyalty starts in the home. You know what I mean? It starts with being determined not to let these young people fall in the traps, the same traps we did, again, by default. It starts, you gotta be, this is not an easy task, you know what I'm saying? But it's a necessary one. And when we realize that from educating them, and just literally growing them up to be thinkers, that right there is not an easy task, but it's necessary. And the only way to know what they know is to listen to these kids. Like, we absolutely have to listen to them, and give them a voice, because I think it's very important. And that's something, Corey Poe, I really did. I got that from you. And something you taught me was basically, let him talk, let them have a mind, because we really don't know what they know until we ask, unless we listen. We don't know if everything we've taught them and instilled in them, if they got it, unless we listen, unless we allow them to actually get out there and try it and see what we've taught them. Mm-hmm. But Jazz, you hit the nail right on the head. We've got to know that if mom can't do it, dad can't do it, brother, sister, cousins, we can't have these conversations and it's not doing it, find you a counselor. They are doing just the same thing we're doing here. They're having virtual counseling sessions, therapy. It's okay.
And but the thing is too, because I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the thing is too, by them being able to have them counselors, they don't have to worry about the information getting back to nobody. Because when you pour your heart out to a family member, you have to be oh so cautious. You got to be oh so cautious. And it's sad that even in a family as huge as ours, you have to be careful who you talk to in the family, because the thing is, you don't want your business to be spread across 170 and 270. Yeah. So the thing is I'm happy that Tony Baby has got a counselor. I'm working on finding my counselor. Like, I can't expect everybody to understand the mindset that I have. But at what point do we do something different to encourage our children and other adults, for that matter? Get the help that you need. If you know you cannot speak to a person in your family, get the help you need, because that information is not going to go to nobody but between you and that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, this has been dope, and I'm so glad you said that, because our topic, next week is just talking about religion versus relationship, and just dealing with why we have. I see your face. She said, "Oh my God." I think it's very important, though, because again, we are dealing in a society right now where no one and nothing is sacred unless you're bound by a law or policy and procedure, which is absolutely, to me, absurd, because we should be bound by blood, by love. You understand? We should be bound by, just duty and servitude to a person, without having to have a law in place that makes you keep certain things sacred when a person comes to you. And so unfortunately, we're going to have that conversations, because even now, if you look all over social media, which Jihad hit the nail on the head, you know what I mean? It's becoming, it's just becoming a circus of foolishness, of just mess, even with ministry. It's just becoming, and I'm gonna leave it at that until next Saturday, and we're just gonna talk about it and break it down, and just actually see if we can get some of our young lives on the show and just see where their mindsets are as far as the traditional religion that we were raised in versus the relationship that most of us realize is more important than being a part of you know, one of the whichever organization, whichever religion you may choose, and then seeing where our young lives really are, and where their comfortability is, their faith is when it comes to what they believe. I'm excited to learn about that. Y'all, it is time for us to go. Jazz, you know, it's always everything when we talk. I know you were feeling good. You a soldier. Thank you so much for blessing us and being on the show. And you know I'm gonna ask you to come back. So anyway, feel better. We love you. Everybody, we gotta go. It is not time for you to go to bed, but it's time for me to go to bed. So without further ado, I gotta leave you guys with this video that Brandon made us. And I hope it bless you like it blesses us every night. Meet us back here next Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're live on Facebook on the Single Moms Lifestyle, Single Moms to Wives page, as well as YouTube, Single Moms Lifestyle, Single Moms to Wives page. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Jazz. Thank you, Corey Poe.
Well.
It's a letter to my mama, letter to my best friend. I know your love run deep, it'll never end. She taught me how to cook, she taught me how to clean. My dude's the realest one that is on my team, never ever picking sides. She taught me how to rise, taught me how to be a leader, never ever follow God, son, always follow God. She taught me how to pray right before I eat and right before I lay. Don't be scared to make mistakes. She taught me that it's human, so I'ma be like Nike and just do it. Anything I wanna do, I know my mama, she gon' ride. Yeah. She say never fear no men, only fear God. Yeah. So I'ma walk around with my head high in these fear guys. My mama, she gon' be straight, I put that on my God. And I kill 100 niggas before I ever see you cry. I love you, mama. It's a letter to my mama, letter to my best friend. I know your love run deep, it'll never end. She taught me how to cook, she taught me how to clean. My dude's the realest one that is on my team, never ever picking sides.